Hi, my name's Rhys Up, your local golf professional here at the Downshire Golf Complex. Now, for today's tip, we'll come to the edge of the green, and I see a lot of people struggling with this area. The pretty straightforward chip shot. Which club do we use? What should we use? What's the easiest club to use? And quite often, just because we can't visualise the shot, we struggle and hit something that should be easy to hit, and we make a mess of it. So, we're going to have a look at three options today as to what's easier. Putter's pretty easy from here on a pretty dry day, but we're going to leave that out for now. So we're going to look at three clubs. I've got a 7-iron, a pitching wedge and a 56-degree sand wedge here. So if I step on the club face of the 7-iron, you can see the launch is going to be fairly forwards and it's going to run quite a lot. Here, the pitching wedge, you can see will launch a little higher, therefore it'll run a little less. And here I have the sand wedge, which is going to launch a little higher again, therefore run even less. Now, the trick is to encourage or to get you to work out how to hit them the right distance is to know how far they roll. Okay, a lot of guys have good touch and feel around the green because they've worked out where to bounce the ball with each of their clubs, or they chip with one club and they understand the flight roll ratio with that golf club. So let's have a quick look at what I mean. Now, my 7-iron will run about 3/4 of the way, depending on the green. It may be a really fast green and running downhill or whatever, therefore I'd have to adjust things, but for today's sake we've got a fairly flat, slightly uphill chip, just to show you an example. So I'm going to go 7-iron runs about 3/4. So all I'm going to do is keep my feet pretty close together, come down the handle a little bit for a bit more control, and I'm going to try and bounce the ball sort of opposite around this first cone and see if we can get the ball to finish near the flag. Okay, so that worked out pretty nice. I landed it dead next to that first cone, which is about 1/4 of the way, and I've ended up about 2 feet away. Let's try another. Landed that a little further, got a bit of a backstop off my other ball, but it was just going to be beyond the flag. And that one just happened to drop in, landed it perfectly at that 1/4 point. So there goes to prove that my 7-iron theory is true. Now, let's go to the wedge. A bit more 50-50 this time, therefore I'm going to have to fly the ball further. The further you have to fly the ball, the more difficult it can get to judge the bounce. But we'll have a little look how we go from here. Okay, just beyond. Pretty good landing area. Again, landed it really nicely. That ball sat down very well. Okay, direction was a bit off that time, but again, I've got the right distance. So all of those are pretty much holeable now. Here we go, probably the silliest one to use from here, but it's the 56-degree sand wedge. So this is just for demonstration purposes to show you how the flight changes. So I'm going to land this more up at the 2/3 to 3/4 to the hole point mark, and we'll see how the ball reacts. As you can see, I'm getting much less roll. And getting all the balls the correct distance. Now, slightly mishit that one, but that was okay, bit of a rush. Now, what we're looking for you to achieve here is not that you have exactly the same flight rolls ratios that I sort of worked out for myself, but to work out your own. In different course conditions, different playing positions, they will differ a little bit. If we're going downhill, you might play the 9-iron to a 7-iron position, 3/4 roll, or so on and so forth. You'd adjust depending on the shot, but as a rule there we can see that that little model works. Now, a little idea for you to work out your model is if you were to use like a cone or a coin or a marker and were to hit a few chip shots and try and bounce them all in the same place, we would see a difference in the result. So I'm going to use the 7-iron and land it by that first cone. And as we already know, that goes about the right distance. Now I'll use the wedge, pitching wedge, and we'll land it by the first cone this time. Try that again, slightly rushed. Okay, now as you can see, those two balls are finished, bounced about on that mark and then rolled out about another half the same distance. Therefore my flight roll ratio is true even on that shorter one. And let's try the sand wedge. As you can see there again, not much roll. So to recap, know your flight roll ratios, and you'll see from that reverse demonstration of using the same landing area that we then got the same thing in reverse. So we've got the same amount of roll to the flag, the pitching wedge to land and then roll about another halfway on from that pitch point, and then the same with the sand wedge, rolled about a quarter to a third from where it first landed. So it works if you're close or far away. Hope that helps you. We'll see you again soon.